Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Contents of our today's lecture are: today we will discuss causes of false differential current through the operating coil of percentage differential relay. In our last lecture, we have seen that the percentage differential relay can take care of small difference current that will produce due to CT ratio error, due to CT error, and due to the underload tap changer. But there are few phenomena due to which even the percentage differential relay will maloperate, means the current will be too high that even percentage differential relay would not be able to block the operation of relay. Now here in today's lecture we discuss all those phenomena, and at the end of the lecture we will discuss the solution of this problem. So here are list of those phenomena that we are going to discuss today. First is inrush current during energization. We will also discuss the harmonic content in this inrush current. The second phenomenon, inrush current due to fault removal. Third, sympathetic inrush current. Fourth phenomena is transformer overexcitation. Fifth one is CT saturation. And after discussion of these phenomena, then we discuss supervised differential relay, a method that is used to block the operation of differential relay due to these phenomena. Expected outcomes of this lecture: at the end of the lecture, student will learn about the causes of false differential current in transformers. Student will be able to learn about the characteristics of inrush current and harmonic components present in the current that causes the false operation of transformer differential relay. Student will be able to learn about the methods used to block the operation of differential relay during energization of transformer. So now here we start discussion of all those phenomena that require attention while applying percentage differential relay to the transformer. So the percentage differential relay takes care of relatively small value of difference currents that is proportional to the retaining coil current which flows in the relay during normal load condition as well as in case of a fault outside the zone of protection. So here we have discussed this graph in our last lecture. Here we can see the slope setting of percentage differential relay will make this relay immune to the currents that will flow due to ratio mismatch, CT error and underload tap changer. Because for tripping, the difference current or the operating coil current should be at least equal or greater than a set percentage of retaining coil current. As the retaining coil current increases due to these phenomena, the operating coil current also increases. But when fault occurs inside the zone of a percentage differential relay, then it will definitely operate because this relay is highly sensitive to internal fault within the zone of protection and very immune or secure for the fault which will occur outside the zone of protection. However, certain other phenomena cause a substantial differential current to flow when there is no fault. Okay, so due to this reason, these phenomena need consideration. So these false differential currents are sufficient to cause a percentage differential relay to trip, unless some special measures are taken, and we will discuss about these methods which are used to block the operation of percentage differential relay at the end of today's session. So the first phenomenon is the magnetizing inrush current during energization. It means when we energize a transformer from de-energized state by applying a voltage across the transformer winding by closing a circuit breaker, that is known as energization of transformer. So transformer draws very high current at that moment. That current is known as inrush current. Now, what is the cause of inrush current? Why transformer draw very high current at the time of energization? It is important because current drawn by a capacitor when it is energized is known as capacitor inrush current. current drawn by a motor when motor is energized is known as motor inrush current. Current drawn by the transformer at the time of energization is known as transformer inrush current. So these are the inrush current, initial very high amount of current that flows towards capacitor, motor or transformer respectively. So the reason is different in all the three devices, in motors, in capacitors, in transformer. The reason is completely different. Now today we'll discuss why these inrush currents exist at the time of energization in transformer. So as the voltage is applied to the transformer by closing the switch circuit breaker, a magnetizing current is drawn from the source. And here, if this is the applied voltage across the primary side of the transformer, which is given as a function of time, that is E max is its peak value cos omega t minus phi. Here at time t is equal to 0, when switching took place, this angle phi, this angle describes the moment on the voltage waveform, the instant on the voltage waveform at which switching has taken place. I am talking about this angle phi. What does it mean? It means if we have defined this voltage by a cos function at time t is equal to 0, if phi is equal to 0, then this cos function, cos of 0 will become 1 and voltage will be at its peak value. It means switching has taken place at the peak value of voltage waveform at phi is equal to 0. So when this is equal to 0 degree, so voltage peak. Now if this angle is equal to 90 degree or multiple of this 90 degree, then this cos function will become 0 at time t is equal to 0. So switching has taken place at 0 crossing of voltage waveform. Now when this voltage is applied across the transformer, this voltage will appear across its magnetization branch. So voltage that will appear across that inductance of magnetization branch is given by this expression. That voltage will be the inductance of magnetization branch Lm into the di by dt. This is the voltage across an inductor equation. So that will be equal to E max cos omega t minus phi. Okay. Now we want to evaluate what will be the expression to represent this magnetization current. We want to solve this differential equation for the magnetization branch current, because this is a magnetization current which is known as inrush current at the time of energization of the transformer. Let's see what is the value of this magnetization current. If we integrate both sides with respect to time, here Lm Im, that is equal to integration of voltage applied across that transformer primary. Here if this equation, this product Lm, the inductance of magnetization branch to the magnetization current, is known as flux linkage, that is equal to N phi. N will be the number of turns of that winding and phi is the flux which is linking to the winding, known as flux linkage. So flux linkage of magnetization branch is equal to the integration of this voltage E max cos omega t minus phi with respect to time. Let's solve this integration on the right side of the equation. Here is the solution. The flux linkage will become equal to sine omega t minus phi plus k, constant of integration. Here this lambda max, the maximum value of flux linkage, that is equal to E max over omega. So that was a constant quantity and a coefficient. So that is actually the peak value of the quantity on the left side of this equation, which is flux linkage. So that's why we have called it lambda max. Now we are going to evaluate this constant of integration by substituting the initial condition. So initial condition, when time t is equal to 0, this lambda t, flux in the core, lambda equal to 0 will be 0. As we can see here, at time t is equal to 0, lambda t is equal to 0. It means there was no residual flux in the core. This is our assumption, but practically this lambda t at time t is equal to 0 would not be equal to 0 in power transformer. But to keep our discussion at this stage simple, we are assuming that there was no residual flux or remnant flux in the core. So when we solved this equation for k turned out to be lambda max sine of phi. So let's substitute this value of k back into the equation. So this is the expression that describes the nature of time varying magnetization current when we have applied a voltage across the primary winding of the transformer. If we look at this equation, it has two parts on the right side of the equation. One is a sinusoidal part, which is lambda max sine omega t minus phi varying with time, plus a constant quantity lambda max sine of phi. This quantity just depends upon phi angle, and phi angle was the instant on the voltage waveform at which switching has taken place. We have discussed in previous slide that when this phi is equal to 0, switching was taking place at the peak value of voltage waveform. When this phi is equal to 90 degree or multiple of 90 degree, so switching instant on the voltage waveform was the zero crossing of voltage. So this is a DC component, the constant value, and its magnitude depends upon angle phi. Now here the main problem in saturation of transformer at the time of energization is this DC component. We cannot control the switching of transformer because whenever transformer will be switched on in three phases, some of the phase will be at some value where DC component will appear in the current. So here the phi max sine phi, this DC component can be as high as the maximum level of flux. When the sine phi is equal to 1, DC component will become lambda max. Lambda max is the maximum value of the flux. Now let's see what is the problem or what happens due to this DC offset in flux linkage. In order to understand this thing, let's discuss the magnetization curve of the transformer core material. And here, as you already know, because you are studying the course of electric machine design, that the power transformers are designed near the knee point of the magnetization characteristic of the core. Why we design the transformer over there? This is the point that describes the magnetic flux density in the core. Because if we design transformer in such a way that the maximum flux reaches up to this level or in this region, that would be inefficient use of iron core material. Mean we have used a core which could carry more flux, and that could be used for higher power rating for the transformer, but we are not doing so. It means we are wasting the core material, or we are using core greater than or larger in size than our requirement. So that is inefficient use of iron core. On the other hand, if the design point will be here in this region, that is inefficient use of magnetization current. It means large amount of current is required to produce a small amount of magnetization. So that is again the wastage of the conductor or the primary winding, because majority of the current will be utilized to magnetize the core. So the ideal position or the most appropriate position for the design of power transformer is this knee point, where we have the linear characteristics of the material as well as we have ideal working point, we have maximum utilization of the core material. This is the methodology or method that we use to design the power transformers. Now in normal steady state operation condition, this is the maximum level of flux up to which core get reached. Now what happens at the time of energization when we apply the voltage across the transformer core? So this flux has two components, the sinusoidal component and the DC component. This DC component will enforce this flux to enter into this saturation region. Okay, the transformer core gets saturated in either positive direction or in negative direction, because if this DC component is negative, that may result in saturation in negative direction. So here in the same way, these magnetic characteristics are extended downward in the third quadrant. Now I hope that you have got this idea what had happened at the time of energization. Due to this DC component, the transformer core gets saturated either in positive direction if this DC component of flux is positive, or in negative direction if this DC component is negative. Which factor will decide whether this DC component is positive or negative? Here, this angle phi. If voltage is moving from negative cycle to positive cycle and switching is taking place at that zero crossing, so DC offset will be maximum and positive. And if voltage is switching from positive cycle to the negative cycle and switching is taking place at that zero crossing, this DC offset will be negative and maximum. Now what happens due to the saturation? Look here, this animation describes what had happened to the core. Here, this brown color characteristics are for transformer. This is a midpoint. Now this green color sinusoidal waveform, that is for flux linkage. Okay, that is its sinusoidal part. Due to the DC offset, this sinusoidal flux has been offset in one direction. In our this case, that has been offset in positive direction. Here we can see this was the saturation limit over here for the transformer core. So here up beyond from this point, flux will move into the saturation region, and we can see here flux linkage is crossing this limit in positive direction. That is due to the positive DC offset in flux linkage. Now if we map this flux linkage on these characteristics and see what will happen to the current, magnetization current, which was here in our initial characteristics IM, same is along this horizontal axis. So as long as this flux remains in the linear region, a very small amount of magnetization current is drawn by this transformer. But when this flux will move into the saturation, a very high current, high peak value of current will appear. So here we can see the high peaks of magnetization current are there in positive cycle, and these high peaks are known as inrush current. And why these high peaks will appear? Because transformer core has moved into the saturation region in positive direction due to DC offset in the flux. That DC offset also exists in the current as well. You can see here this current has been moved in one direction. I hope you have got this idea. If the same saturation will occur in negative cycles, then you will see positive cycle current will be normal and these peaks will appear in negative direction. Now because of losses in the circuit, the magnetization current will decay to the nominal small value. It will get normalized after few cycles. So here how this current will get normalized with the passage of time. With each passing cycle, the DC component will get lost due to the loss component across the resistance and across the hysteresis losses, eddy current losses. All due to all these losses, the DC components will decay with the passage of time, and then current will become normal. So the initial high current is due to the transformer core saturation. Time constant of several seconds are common in most modern power transformer. Means transformer may draw this inrush current or heavy current for few seconds. That is too long time for a relay to wait for such a high current to exist in the system. So in transformers, a very large inrush current are possible depending upon the instant of energization and the residual flux in the transformer core. At the time when we have evaluated the constant of integration, we had assumed that there was no remnant flux or residual flux. But if residual flux was there, that is the case normally in power transformer, then this situation will become even worse. Now the saturation will be further deep into the saturation region. So due to this reason, further higher inrush current is possible. So the normal assumption about these inrush current that could be as high as 5 to 10 times of rated current of the transformer. But that lasts for a very short duration. So that's why that is not concerning to the transformer, because transformer can withstand this high current for short duration. This is the issue Because this inrush current only exists on one side of the transformer, mean the primary side which we have energized. It does not have its counterpart on the secondary side. So due to this reason, a differential relay will consider it as fault condition because current will flow through only one of the CTs. This magnetization current will flow through the differential branch or operating branch of differential relay. Due to this reason, differential relay will trip for this fault. It has very high magnitude as well as it exists only on one side of the transformer winding. So that is similar to the situation when a fault occurs inside the zone of protection of a transformer differential. Current exists only in one CT. So due to this reason, the possibility is there that transformer differential will trip the transformer at the time of energization. It produces a differential current which is 200% of retaining current and would cause a false operation of percentage differential regardless of the slope setting. Because the maximum slope setting that we have normally is up to 40%. But here in case of the magnetization current due to saturation, the difference current can be as high as 200% of retaining coil current, and that may result in tripping of the transformer at the time of energization. Now we will discuss, as we have seen that from the shape of this current, that was not sinusoidal during the positive cycle, or it was not symmetric about the time axis. So due to this deformation of the shape of the current, definitely it has harmonic components. Now we are going to discuss harmonic contents of inrush current. So the false operation of percentage differential relay for transformer is prevented by taking advantage of this fact that this current is full of harmonics. But in case of short circuit fault current will have only the fundamental component. So this basic difference, fault is only a fundamental component and inrush current is full of harmonics. We can have a mechanism to avoid the tripping of percentage differential relay based upon the harmonic components present in differential current. Before discussion here, if we assume that for our analysis, if we assume that the magnetic characteristics of the core of transformer has been approximated with the help of two straight lines. One is vertical line during the linear region, and then we have a line with a small slope during a saturation region. Similarly, in negative cycle, this vertical line represents the linear region and this small slope is representing the saturation region. The actual magnetic characteristics will be like this. Just to make our analysis simple, we have approximated this green color magnetic characteristics with its red color approximation. Instead of using this continuously varying characteristic, we have assumed that in linear region the slope of this characteristic is infinity, and in saturation region it has very small slope. So that will make our analysis simple. Now what happens by assuming that the slope of the magnetic characteristic is infinity during linear region? It means the inductance will be assumed to be infinity. It means no current is required to produce flux during that time. This is ideal condition for an inductor. It requires zero current to produce flux. Now due to this reason, we can assume that current was zero when transformer was in linear region. Now when this transformer will move into the saturation region, it will draw current. Here, by making this approximation of magnetic characteristic of the transformer core, this is the nature of current drawn by the transformer during magnetization, because actual current was like this. Here positive cycle, saturation, go back to the normal, negative cycle, positive cycle, again this inrush current, negative cycle, normal. It was like this. As soon as we had assumed that the magnetic characteristic has infinite slope during the linear region, so current in this portion will become zero, where transformer core was out of saturation. Same is here for negative, complete negative cycle. Then again current will become zero here and here. Okay, so we are left only with these peaks. So that peaks are the time instant where saturation is occurring. Further, we have assumed our this axis, the angle axis and the magnitude axis, in such a way that our origin is centered at the peak point like this. This will make our current even function. That will help us to perform the Fourier analysis. So we have made these assumptions. Now the point where this inrush current is intersecting this angle axis, that is alpha. Alpha is known as angle of saturation. If the core will remain in saturation region for long duration, this alpha angle will increase. If that will remain for short duration in that saturation region, this alpha will reduce. Now let's write equation for this inrush current. This inrush current is equal to its peak value cos theta minus cos alpha. As value of theta equal to 0, this will become Im 1 minus cos alpha. So that will be the peak value. So value of current will be this during these time instances from 0 to alpha and from 2 pi minus alpha to 2 pi. And current is 0 everywhere else, that is between these instances when theta is between alpha and 2 pi minus alpha. Here is the peak value of this current, Im 1 minus cos alpha. By substituting theta is equal to 0 here in this equation, we got this expression. Next, this is the equation to find out the coefficient of Fourier series for this periodic signal. Here, because this waveform is an even function, so only the real coefficient will exist for Fourier series. So we can assume that the imaginary coefficient Bn will be 0. And here An is given as integration of this equation from 0 to 2 pi, that is the time period or angle between which we are integrating this expression, I theta cos n theta into d theta. So this I theta is magnetization current multiplied by the sinusoids of all order. N will vary from 1 up to infinite. So all harmonic order has been included to calculate Fourier series. Now if we substitute the values here for current I theta, that is equal to Im into cos theta minus cos alpha multiplying with cos n theta. So this is the expression that we have obtained. Im cos theta cos n theta minus cos alpha cos n theta into d theta. So now this time integration is from 0 to alpha because next cycle is similar to this one. So we have multiplied this with 2 to consider the effect of the next cycle as well. So solution of this integration, we are not interested how to solve it. The end result that we obtain after solving this integration is this. This is the value of the coefficient of Fourier series. If we substitute n is equal to 1, that will be the fundamental, and 2, 3, 4, 5 onward, that will be the other higher order harmonics. So if we substitute this value n is equal to 1, here is the magnitude of the fundamental component. So that is only dependent upon this angle alpha. As alpha will vary, same is the case with this A1, the magnitude of fundamental component. Same is the case for the magnitude of other higher order harmonics. Their magnitude depends upon this angle alpha, known as angle of saturation. Now the main thing is to discuss the magnitude of harmonic component present in inrush current. Here is the summary of that magnitude comparison. In this table you can see On the left side, in this column, the harmonic order is given 2, 3, 4 up to 13, second, third, fourth, fifth, and onward. And next three columns gives us the magnitude of these harmonic components with respect to the fundamental by calculating ratio by using this formula an over a1, the harmonic magnitude with respect to the fundamental component at three different values of angle of saturation. Alpha is equal to 60, 90, and alpha is equal to 180 degree. Definitely when alpha is equal to 90 degree, it means the transformer core was in saturation for longer duration as compared to alpha is equal to 60 degree. Same is the case for alpha is equal to 120 degree. Now thing to note here, for example in the first column where alpha was 60 degree, the second harmonic component in inrush current was as strong as 70% of the fundamental component. Next we can see the third harmonic component was also dominant, that is 35% of magnitude of fundamental. Then fourth, fifth and sixth onward was of smaller magnitude but still has 7%, 7%, 8, 2% and so on, the magnitude component. Now if we look into the next situation where alpha was 90, although the harmonic component has been reduced and all odd harmonics has become 0 altogether, but still even harmonics, second, fourth, sixth and onward, still have sufficiently high magnitude. The second is as high as 42% of the fundamental. Now if alpha is equal to 120 degree, further we can see here the second harmonic component is as strong as 17%, higher than any other harmonic component present. Practically this alpha angle will approach to 30 degree in power transformers. Mean transformer remain in saturation region for short duration. So due to this reason, the harmonic components will be much higher as compared to even this 60 degree. Our conclusion about the harmonic components present in the inrush current is, due to this deformation of the waveform, the second harmonic component will be the dominant one, but all harmonic components will be there. Even and odd, both type of harmonics will be there, but the second one will be the dominant one. And what is the dependence of these harmonic components on the angle alpha? With the increase in angle alpha, harmonic contents reduces. For smaller value of alpha, harmonic components will be much stronger. So this is the conclusion about the harmonic contents present in inrush current. Next, the second phenomenon is magnetization inrush current during fault removal. When a fault close to a transformer is removed by operating the circuit breaker, it causes magnetization of transformer. So transformer magnetization will change as it changes when we energize the transformer. Reason because the applied voltage across the transformer will make a jump from low value of voltage during the fault to the normal value of voltage after the fault clearance. Because during the fault there will be a dip in voltage. When this fault is cleared by opening the circuit breaker, then voltage will become normal or restored to the normal value. So this is the switching, a transient from during fault low voltage to the normal voltage after the fault. So due to this transition, there will be a change in magnetization, and magnetization will have a DC component and saturation of core may occur. So the flux linkages in transformer core are forced to change from low value to a value close to normal, depending upon the instant on the voltage waveform at which fault has been cleared by the protection scheme. The DC offset will present in that flux linkage. So current waveform similar to energization current would result. So it means transformer will again draw an inrush current due to the fault removal. So the nature of this inrush current is same as the time of energization of transformer, means that current exists only in one winding. So chances are there that a differential relay may trip due to this inrush current. As there is no remnant flux because transformer is already energized, so there is no residual flux. Due to this reason, the magnitude of inrush current will be a bit smaller as compared to the magnitude of inrush current during energization, but the nature of inrush current will be similar to the nature of inrush current during energization, meaning it has deformed the shape of current. Further, the current is full of harmonics, and the second harmonic will be dominant, but all other harmonics will be present in the current. So the third phenomena, that is known as sympathetic inrush current. Here we will discuss this phenomena, and then later in slide we will discuss what is the problem that may occur due to this phenomena to the percentage differential relay. This is a somewhat unusual event but occurs often because it requires prerequisite condition to occur. So here are the requirements for this phenomena to happen. Here in this diagram we can see a transformer T1 is connected to a generator through a cable or transmission line which has a resistive part and inductive part, which is the inductance and resistance of that cable or that transmission line. This cable has value of resistance equal to R and inductance equal to L. The transformer T1 is energized. Whenever we have energized this transformer, no doubt it have drawn an inrush current and gets stabilized after that, but right now it is in steady state condition. It has a parallel transformer bank that we are going to energize by closing this switch B. So this situation is there is already energized transformer T1 and a parallel transformer bank is about to be energized by closing switch B. So here we have closed the switch. As the breaker B closes, an inrush current is established in the primary winding of transformer T2. So it will draw inrush current. And here is the inrush current shown with the help of waveform. Current will be drawn only through positive cycles. We have again assumed that the magnetic characteristics of these transformer has been approximated by the same two straight lines during the linear region with vertical line and during saturation region with a straight line having a small slope with respect to the horizontal axis. So this will be the nature of current drawn by this transformer T2 at the time of energization. Inrush current which is decaying with the passage of time. And remember, this current is being supplied by this generator through this transmission line having resistance R and inductance L. So this is the current supplied. As we can see, we can call this inrush current as DC current or pulsating DC. It has an AC component plus a DC component. So that DC current which is passing through that resistance and inductance, DC current will result in a voltage across that line in this polarity. As we know that DC does not produce any voltage drop across inductance, but voltage will appear across this resistance in this polarity due to this current IDC. Now this is the situation where we can see generators are designed to produce AC voltage, pure AC. Generator cannot induce a DC. So this is a situation where we have an ideal AC source in series with our DC source in this polarity plus minus. We can call this bus as G and this is bus A. How much voltage will be there between these 2 points? Due to this situation, we have an AC source in series with a DC voltage drop in this polarity. Definitely there will be a negative DC component in this voltage over here that is available to bus A in this polarity. What does mean by the negative DC voltage? Voltage will move downward like this. So we can say due to this DC drop, this bus A to which two transformers are connected will acquire a negative DC component. So the DC bus will acquire a negative DC component. What will happen due to this negative DC component in bus voltage? This results in negative change in flux linkages of two transformers. So the transformer T2, which we have just energized, was in saturation region in positive direction. That negative component in voltage of this bus A will take this transformer out of saturation, and transformer T1 that was already energized and operating in steady state condition, that will be forced by this negative component voltage into the saturation region but in negative direction. So here T2 will come out of saturation and T1 will move into the saturation in negative direction. So it will start drawing current in negative cycles. This is what will happen. During positive cycle, current will be supplied to the transformer T2, and during negative cycle, inrush current will be supplied to transformer T1. T2 is coming out of saturation and T1 is moving into the saturation. Okay, due to this reason, here is the net current supplied by the generator. Generator is supplying current during positive cycle as well as during negative cycle. So now here, if we observe these individual current drawn by this transformer T1 in negative direction, and why this transformer T1 is drawing inrush current? Because DC component in voltage of this bus has moved this already energized transformer T1 into saturation, and this current drawn by transformer T2, that will be in positive direction and it will come out of the saturation with each passing cycle. And total current which is being supplied by the generator, here these three current had completely different nature. This current IT1 will be full of harmonics because it is inrush current, so it will have all the harmonics, and second will be the dominant one. Same is true for this current IT2, that is also inrush current. It will have all the harmonic components in it, and second one will be the dominant one. But here this net current IG supplied by the generator, this current is available in positive cycle as well as in negative cycle. Due to this reason, the current will become symmetric about the time axis and almost sinusoidal. So harmonic contents in this current will reduce and there will be no second harmonic or even harmonics present here. So harmonic contents reduce here in this current, and second harmonics or you can say even harmonics will disappear. Due to this reason, now the nature of these two individual inrush current and current supplied by the generator is completely different from each other. So here we summarize what is meant by this phenomena of sympathetic inrush. The phenomena which causes inrush current to flow in an already energized transformer when a parallel bank is energized is known as sympathetic inrush current. Here in this particular example we have seen that energization of transformer T2 has brought this T1 into the saturation but in opposite direction as compared to T2. Now after this, the fourth phenomena is transformer overexcitation. We have discussed this overexcitation of transformer in our last lecture. We have discussed that overexcitation will occur either voltage increases or if frequency reduces. Impact will be same. Here we discuss this overexcitation in terms of increase in voltage, but the situation will be exactly same if the frequency will reduce. During the load rejection and certain other operating condition, a transformer may be subjected to a steady state over voltages. Load rejection means a transformer at the end of a long transmission line. If load gets removed from that transformer due to Ferranti effect on the receiving end of the transmission line, voltage will become greater than even the sending end voltage. So that is actually applied across the primary transformer. So over voltage will appear across that transformer. So this will take this transformer into overexcitation condition. During overexcitation, the transformer flux remains symmetric but goes into saturation region in positive cycle as well as in negative cycle. So here this animation describes what happens to the transformer core and what will be the nature of current drawn by the transformer during overexcitation. This green color waveform here this one, that is the flux linkage. We can see its magnitude or amplitude has been increased. Now it is crossing the saturation limit in positive cycle as well as in negative cycle. When we have mapped this flux linkage on the magnetization characteristics and developed the current over there, we can see as soon as these flux linkages are crossing the saturation limit, transformer draw very high peak of current. So now transformer is drawing current during positive cycle and during negative cycle because saturation is symmetric in both the cycles. Now if we assume the magnetic characteristic of transformer is same as we have approximated with the help of two straight lines, here is the waveform of inrush current. During the linear region, current will be 0. During the saturation region, it will draw current. Now this is the waveform drawn. Inrush current during positive cycle, negative cycle, in next positive cycle, there will be next negative cycle, and so on. We have placed this vertical axis or origin in such a way that it is centered at this point, so that this waveform will become an even function. In even function, in their Fourier transform, we no need to calculate the imaginary coefficients, only real coefficient will exist. So that's why we are making the adjustment in such a way that this function will become even function, symmetric about the vertical axis. This time, another thing to note, the shape of this waveform above the time axis or angle axis is same as it is below the angle axis. In other words, this waveform is symmetric about the horizontal axis as well. So due to this reason, there will be no even harmonics in this current. Only odd harmonics will be present. When the Fourier series for this current is calculated, it turns out to that all even harmonics are identically 0 because this current is symmetric about the horizontal axis. The odd harmonics are twice of those computed for magnetization inrush current, but here the dominant ones are the odd harmonics. For alpha is equal to 5 degree, for very small value of alpha, the third and fifth harmonic are almost as strong as the fundamental frequency component. Means the fundamental, third and fifth, the first three components, fundamental, first harmonic and the next harmonic. So these three harmonics will be of equal magnitude. So here our conclusion about the inrush current drawn during the energization, that this current does not have any even harmonic. The odd harmonics are very strong, especially third and fifth harmonic. These are the dominant one. So again, the situation is same. As alpha will increase, the harmonic contents will reduce. For such a low value of alpha as 5 degree, this third and fifth harmonic can be as strong as the fundamental. Now we discuss the fifth phenomena, which is a CT saturation. For some external faults where the fault current are large, it is likely that one of the CT may get saturated. In order to understand this, let me draw the transformer and its differential protection. These are two retaining coils, and then we have operating coil over here. So this is the differential relay. Now if fault occurs outside the transformer, as we know that the two-side current of the transformer will not be same. On the LT side, current will be higher as compared to HT side. So possibility is there one of these two CT may get saturated. Let's say this CT, this is HT side, this is LT side, high tension and low tension. HT mean HV, LT mean LV. So due to this reason, if this CT gets saturated, then due to saturation of a CT, a very little current or nothing would appear on its secondary side, but heavy current will flow through the secondary of the unsaturated CT. Due to this reason, there will be a net difference in these two currents, which is coming from this side and flowing on the other side, and that would flow towards the differential branch. As we can see here, This fault was outside the zone of protection, and protection should not operate for this fault. But due to CT saturation, a tripping of the fault may occur. They may consider this condition as fault. So let's say this was the primary current that is flowing through the primary of the current transformers. Here that is pure sinusoidal. And if the saturation occurs during these shaded portions, so this is the waveform of this current which is on the primary side. The shaded portion on the secondary side, the current would not appear during this saturation period. Only this shape of current will appear on the secondary side. Now the secondary side current of this CT, which is operating normally, will be pure sinusoidal, and secondary current of this CT, which is in saturation, will get deformed due to CT saturation. And during saturation period, current would not appear, and during linear condition, current would appear on the secondary side here. So in this difference branch, the difference of these two currents will flow. So here is the difference current, difference of the sinusoidal current and current at the secondary side of saturated CT, that will flow toward the differential branch. Now if we perform the harmonic analysis of this current which is passing through the differential branch, we can see here this current is symmetric about the horizontal axis. Due to this reason, even harmonics are not present, but this time this is not an even function. So we will have to compute the imaginary part of Fourier series as well, imaginary coefficient, and our analysis resulted in this waveform contains no even harmonics, and that there is a significant third harmonic component in this current. Only odd are there, and among those odd harmonics, third is the dominant one. So here we summarize what we have discussed about all those 5 phenomena and the harmonic components present. So here in this table we can see the inrush current drawn due to the energization. It has all harmonic components present, and second harmonic will be the dominant one. Second phenomenon, inrush current due to fault removal. Its nature is similar to that inrush current drawn due to energization. So all harmonics will be present, and second will be dominant. Then the third is sympathetic inrush current. If we consider the individual transformer, then all the harmonics component are present and second will be dominant. And when we see the current coming from the generator side, that will have very few harmonics and there will be no even harmonics. Then the fourth phenomena is overexcitation. Current was symmetric about the horizontal axis. Due to this reason, there was no even harmonics, and all odd harmonics were present. Third and fifth was the dominant. In case of CT saturation, again the current was symmetric about the time axis. Due to that reason, all odd harmonics are present and there is no even harmonic. So third harmonic will be the dominant one. So this is the conclusion about these 5 phenomena and the harmonic component present in those currents. Now we will see the solution of this problem, the mal-operation of the relay. So that is supervised differential relay. A type of supervision is required to block the operation of differential relay. In order to tackle the false operation of differential relay, many measures were introduced. One of the earliest idea to disable the differential relay when transformer is energized, because differential relay would not allow this transformer to get energized, because as soon as transformer will draw inrush current, differential relay will give trip signal to the breaker and transformer get isolated again. So the easier solution is remove the differential which is causing the problem. In this way we can avoid the operation of differential relay during energization, but still problem is as it is during fault removal and during overexcitation condition, as the relay would not see the inrush current, thus avoiding the false tripping. However, this is a poor practice. as it is the initial energization of transformer after some repair work when protection is required. To make sure that maintenance has been properly done at the time of energization, protection should be in place. The next significant step was the introduction of concept of voltage supervision. So this is the next step performed in order to avoid the operation of differential relay. It may be expected that during the inrush condition, the voltage will remain equal to the nominal value when transformer is energized. But when a fault occurs, there will be a reduction in voltage. There will be dip in voltage. So based upon this difference in the voltage during inrush current and during the fault condition, we may block the operation of differential relay based upon this voltage value. It means if current is there through the differential branch and voltage is equal to nominal value, it means that is due to the energization of transformer, no need to trip the differential relay. So differential relay operation will be blocked by the under voltage relay. But if fault will occur, there will be a dip in voltage and current will be through differential branch, then tripping is required. So here what we have done, we have interlocked the operation of differential relay and under voltage relay with each other. Differential relay could not trip unless under voltage relay has been tripped, because under voltage relay tripping is an indication of fault, then differential relay can trip. But if fault is within the zone of protection, first under voltage relay will trip, then differential will trip. In this way fault will be cleared. But if transformer has been energized, there will be current and differential want to trip, but as under voltage relay haven't tripped, so it means there will be no tripping. That current was due to inrush current, due to energization. So by making this adjustment or interlocking, we can avoid operation of differential relay by interlocking its operation with under voltage relay. So problem with this type of supervision is the operation of under voltage relay is too slow. So it means differential relay, although very sensitive, very quick protection can be provided by differential relay, but differential relay will have to wait for under voltage relay first to operate, and then differential relay can operate. So due to this reason, overall protection cycle or scheme will become slower. So due to this situation, it is not preferred. Although we can provide this supervision, but it is not preferred in case of more expensive and critical power transformers that may get damaged due to the slow operation of the differential protection. So most importantly, this type of protection require a voltage source. It means we will have to install a voltage transformer to have a voltage signal. So voltage transformers are very expensive. So it means that will add extra cost for the protection. Sometimes it is not justifiable. The method currently in use is based upon using the harmonic characterization of inrush current and overexcitation current. Now we will make use of harmonic contents present in the current to block the operation of percentage differential relay. So this differential current is almost purely sinusoidal when the transformer has internal fault, and the differential current through the differential branch of the percentage relay will be full of harmonic if this difference current is due to either energization or overexcitation. So we will make use of harmonic contents present in this difference current to block the operation of differential relay. How? We will use filters to find out the harmonic contents present in differential current, and based upon those harmonic contents, restraining action will be performed. Here this diagram shows how we are going to restrain the operation of differential relay. Initially we know that in case of percentage differential relay, restraining action will be done by this restraining coil. Instead of using here restraining coil, we have used two auxiliary current transformers, here TR, that is known as auxiliary restraining transformer, and TD, that is known as auxiliary differential transformer, connected at the differential branch. Just to take these two current for further processing, we have used two auxiliary transformer over there. So this output of auxiliary transformer over here TR, that will be used directly for restraining as it is done in case of percentage differential relay. So it will block the operation of relay. But here the output of this transformer TD, differential transformer connected in the this is current transformer connected in the differential branch. That's why we are calling it differential transformer. Now this output is filtered or passed through two filters. The first filter F1, that is a low pass filter and would allow only the fundamental component to pass, and that will be used, this fundamental component will be used for tripping applications. So here it will produce trip, fundamental frequency for tripping. It will be applied across the trip coil of the relay. Then the same current in parallel is passed through this filter F2, second filter, that is a high pass filter. It will allow all the higher order harmonic except the fundamental to pass on. So all those harmonics will be used to produce the restraining action. This filter F2 can be a high pass filter or a tuned filter. Shortly we are going to discuss why we have to use a tuned filter over there at point F2. If it is high pass filter, then it will allow all the harmonics second onward to pass through and produce a restraining action. Now we are going to discuss the setting of the harmonic restraining. A typical adjustment is to use a restraint setting of 15% in the harmonic circuit. It means if the harmonic components are at least 50% of the fundamental component, then it is not going to trip the relay. So relay operation will be blocked due to the presence of harmonic components as strong as 50% of the fundamental. This is how harmonic components are used for restraining action. It means if the harmonic contents present in the current is less than or nothing, less than 15 or nothing, only then the relay will operate. Otherwise the harmonic contents are going to block the operation of differential relay, because presence of harmonic component in differential current is indication that this current is either due to the inrush due to energization, inrush due to fault removal, inrush due to overexcitation, or we have a sympathetic inrush current or due to CT saturation. So relay operation will be blocked. So a harmonic restraint function that uses all harmonics for restraint may be in danger of preventing a trip for internal fault if CT gets saturated. So this is a problem. If we are utilizing all the harmonic to restrain the operation of relay, it is quite possible that for an internal fault, if CT gets saturated and differential current is full of harmonics, relay is not going to operate. If relay is not going to operate, it means protection has failed. So due to this reason, we will have to make sure that relay is tripping during an internal fault and CT saturation, and relay is not tripping when we have energization of the transformer or we have overexcitation. So now due to this reason, we will have to use selective harmonic for restraint application. We know that CT saturation produce dominantly third harmonic, so we will have to exclude this third harmonic from the restraining action. So the solution is modern relays only use the second harmonic and fifth harmonic component for restraining action and fundamental for tripping. Third harmonic will not be utilized for any type of tripping. Now here I will explain this thing, what is mean by the inclusion of third harmonic will block the operation of relay. Look at this transformer. It is being protected with the help of a differential relay. This is restraining coils, and here we have differential coil, and this difference coil current that will also be used for restraining application if it has harmonic components. Let's say a fault has occurred inside the transformer zone. This is the location of fault, and transformer was part of interconnected system, so fault current will exist in both CTs. So if this CT will get saturated, then the primary current is pure sinusoidal. Secondary current over here will be deformed like this. Okay, it has harmonic components, and here due to the proper operation, this is the primary current on this side, and CT secondary current will also be sinusoidal. If we take the difference of this current and this current, the current that is flowing towards the differential branch will be like this. These peaks are over there, which is passing through a differential branch. This type of current is full of third harmonic and all odd harmonics, and third is dominant one. And as we move from third to fifth, the magnitude of fifth will reduce by a large value. If this is the situation, if we are using all the harmonics to block the operation of this percentage differential relay for the transformer, due to this internal fault and CT saturation, this relay is not going to operate because we have the third harmonic component which may greater than the 15% of the fundamental, and tripping will be blocked by this harmonic component. So that is the danger. Fault is there and relay has failed to operate. So to avoid this situation, what we are doing now, instead of using all the harmonics, we are using only second and fifth harmonic for staining application, and third has been omitted because in case of CT saturation, this current will be full of third harmonic. So due to this reason, now if third harmonic is there in this differential branch, no second, no fifth, then tripping will occur. Now what is the drawback of this selection? If fault occurs outside the zone of protection and CT may get saturated, then this current may result in tripping of the transformer differential. So that is loss of security. Previous case was loss of dependability, and this case where we have omitted the third harmonic is loss of security. Remember, in interconnected system, loss of dependability is not acceptable, but loss of security can be justifiable. So unnecessary tripping can be accepted, but uncleared fault is not acceptable. So loss of extra transformer from the system is not problematic at all, but uncleared fault in transformer that may result in complete damage of transformer is clearly objectionable. So due to this reason, in modern relay, second and fifth harmonics are used for staining application, third has been omitted. So due to this reason, now relay is not going to be blocked due to internal fault and CT saturation. This relay, which is used harmonic component for restraining application, is known as harmonic restrained percentage differential relay, and that is used for the transformer protection. Thank you very much.